Bearcat Bounce Podcast. Back at it again. Monday. Happy Monday. Happy Monday following Aaron Smith's birthday Monday. Happy Monday following Father's Day. Sunday Monday. Happy Monday following IPF ribbon cut ceremony. Engaged. Whirlpool. All those fun things. Epsom salt. Fun. Extravagant Monday. Happy Monday. Dogs barking Monday. Happy Monday. Game 5 following a frustrating Game 4 NBA Finals Pacers Monday. Happy Monday as well, where the birdies are chirping, and I'm not talking about JJ Spot Monday. Those dogs are barking Monday. So it's a Monday where I get to welcome in the guys as well. We are fully assembled. We are fully ready, and we are going to be rocking and rolling Monday. So without further ado, Aaron Smith, Chad Brendel, Ryan Royer. Gentlemen, how are we?
I will never cease to be amazed at my dog's ability to know not to bark all day until we hit record on a show,
right?
And then to bark.
Is it the Bearcat Bounce podcast, like real loud? Does that?
I have headphones on; they can't hear that.
Good point. Good point. Yeah,
it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
They know. There must be a light that turns on or something.
It's unbelievable. Doing good. Coming off a great Father's Day. Had a little cookout. You know what we did yesterday, Brent Young?
I saw some pictures. Break it down for me, though.
There weren't pictures of this particular thing that we did.
Okay.
We were out shopping for all the stuff that we were going to cook for Father's Day meal, and we saw some short ribs, and they looked awesome. Looked like a great pack of short ribs. I was like, we should buy these and just figure out something to do with them.
Yep.
So we seasoned them with a little jerk seasoning. Okay. Pan seared them.
Yep.
And then put them in a crock pot with jerk sauce.
Oh.
For like 6 hours.
Uh-huh.
Got them nice and tender, shredded them apart, and then put them in egg rolls.
Wow.
And had jerk beef egg rolls.
What else was added in said egg rolls?
Just some peppers that cooked into the in the sauce, and then some pepper jack cheese.
God damn.
They were outstanding.
What you dip it in? Did you get dipping, or probably didn't even need a dip?
We didn't dip. We all agreed we're gonna have to come up with a sauce for the next time that we did it.
Right.
But this was kind of last minute, so we just, freestyled it and went with the straight soul rolls, the egg rolls, and no sauce. But they were delectable, outstanding.
You're freestyling your way into my heart, I tell you that much. God.
And then made some Italian meatball appetizers.
Okay.
Homemade sauce, Ryan. Crushed our own San Marzano tomatoes.
Yep.
The girlfriend made a sauce. I made the meatballs. Pan seared the meatballs, then slow cooked them in the sauce, and then put them in the broiler with some mozzarella on top. Those were great. Made some ribs, some smashed potatoes.
Wow.
And some homemade baked beans. That was the spread for Father's Day. It's pretty good.
Wait a damn minute. So what was the ribs picture?
That I made ribs. I said we did a couple racks of ribs. That was the main course.
On top of all that other stuff. Wow.
Yeah.
Did you do ribs on the smoke them? Did you do them in the oven?
Smoked them.
Little Traeger.
The pit boss. Pit boss. Pit boss. Yeah.
Nice. Ty Sponseller just got a Traeger. We've been going through it. Chicken thighs, ribs, wings. What else? We've been doing like smoked skirt steak in there, then searing it on the pan. Oh man.
How do you do the wings?
Well, Mr. Road to Omaha, John Peter, he was the wing guy. I don't remember exactly what he did. They were really good though. But John was there on the Traeger with us before he went out to Omaha. So
just a recommendation. smoke them, but undercook them just a little bit and finish them in the air fryer.
Ooh,
that gets them crispy.
Yeah, the crisp, and then you get the smoked flavor underneath.
Yeah, so it's a little best of both worlds.
All right, I'm gonna write that down. Send it over to the Spawn Cellar house.
Write that down.
What's in here, Spawn Cellars? I got something for you. Love it. And Aaron, you did the double dip on Sunday. How about that? It was like it's like having your birthday on Christmas. You had your birthday on Father's Day, my man. How on earth are you?
It was fine. Didn't do a whole lot like just big or anything. It was just a 41st birthday. There's not a monumental milestone or anything. I feel like
the Dirk Nowitzki's not monumental, man. Come on, dude.
Nope.
It's 41 years of this world being a better place since you're in it, Aaron.
That's what I'm saying.
Stop. You and your sweet nothings.
You also share a birthday with my father.
Wow.
My father turned 61.
The Father Day.
Yeah.
Golly.
But yeah, just hung out with the family, and we did run some errands. We ended up at the grocery store, and I mean, like I said, just not anything crazy or anything, but I did plenty in the years leading up to this to take it easy. So
Fair. What did you eat? I mean, you're normally on here telling us all this chefing you've been doing, but was it
well, we had to do anything of substance, we have to travel. So to go to like Target, that's a 45-minute drive each way.
Yes.
We have a vacation coming up next weekend where we're going to North Carolina. So we needed to stop in some shops and make some exchanges, get some stuff. So that was an hour and a half away to Columbus. So we just stopped in somewhere to let the girls eat. So we ended up at Wendy's for lunch, and then just ordered Chinese by the time we got home after grocery shopping for enough to get us through this week so we can leave for vacation at the end of the week. So like I said, nothing crazy.
A little bit different than Chad.
We're going to be spending plenty of money next week. So I did not want to be cooking on my birthday and Father's Day. I was all the way out on that.
Yeah. The old double Ryan, this is probably the first year hearing of it. We got vacations on vacations next week for BCJ.
Wow.
If you knew, Chad and Aaron will be gone. So it's you and I freeballing.
Let's go. I love freeballing with you.
Me too. That's why I said I'm in. Count me in. So yeah, we're gonna have to see what we can do. We'll text each other as we always do.
Oh yeah.
Aaron, happy birthday. We
Thanks.
texted a little bit yesterday. Did you sprint your marathon? That's my final question to you.
No, it was pretty low key. I started the morning off with Bailey's and coffee, and then didn't have another drink until like 9.
I was gonna say started off at like 8 o'clock with Bailey's and cream. Yeah, didn't
Took
have
an hour off.
About 9. Fair enough. Well, Royer, the boy, how are we? So what? Your dad's birthday and Father's Day yet again? That's a double whammy right there.
Yeah, I had a good weekend. It was my buddy's birthday on Friday. We went over to Covington, had a good time, and then
what a spot.
A friend of the show, Bryce Burton, he's moving to Miami, Florida in about a month. So we had his going away party on Saturday. So we had a couple of the alumni there. We had Will Adams, Ryan Mullaney, Jack Perry, Ty Sponseller, Kyle Bolden made an appearance. It was a good time. Went over to Pearls. First time I've ever been to Pearls, down there right by the precinct. It's a cool little spot. Good character. Then Sunday drove up, saw my dad. We got some Tommy's Pizza. It's a local Columbus place that's been around forever, ever since he was a kid. So every Father's Day and his birthday, we always get Tommy's. So they lined up. So we went and got some Tommy's. My mom and sister baked a caramel cake. Family recipe my grandma always used to make for my dad growing up on his birthday, and then when we were born for us. So they knocked it out of the park. Tasted just like it was coming from grandma. So it was good, man. It was always good being home, getting to spend time, especially on spend time with my dad for his birthday and Father's Day. So good weekend.
Damn. We had some hell of the weekends, boys. That's awesome.
I know.
That was awesome. That's what I like to hear. We're live here at the Cincinnati studio, if you didn't know. The Pacers play tonight, if you didn't know. I am wearing Pacers hat. No free ads, but this was from 2000. Did you know the last time the Indiana Pacers played on June 16th was back in 2000 against the Lakers? They won by 33. So I'm just trying to urge that big vibes into this game 5, as it was sad. Game 4 it was like watching Game of Thrones. That the first 3 quarters are like all the seasons leading up to the final season. Then that 4th quarter was like the final season of Game of Thrones. But you know what? Unlike that, you got more games. And unlike that, you got more seasons of basketball. You got more seasons of football coming up. And that's Bearcats here in the Cincinnati studios. So when you want to dive in and think about all those things, you should dive in and do it over at Danco Transmission and Auto Care. Just sit there, think about life as you get an oil change. And you get $10 off that oil change. You get 10% off of fixing. Danco Joe will hook it up. Tell him that Aaron sent you. Ryan sent you. Tell him Lance Stevenson sent you. Kicked out of the Big 3 game against, the likes of Dwight Howard sent you. Tell him Chad sent you.
Danco what a bitch move by Jordan Crawford, trying to put his finger up Lance's.
What is that all about, man? Just
wild, absolutely wild.
I didn't catch this one. I'm gonna have to head over to X and see this.
Oh man, look it up. It's quite the spectacle. Yeah, that game though. That cross-end shootout was one of the most epic ones, but obviously didn't go Bearcats' way. But gosh, that's another one of those. Wow, if the Bearcats would have won that game at the end, an all-time rewatch, but of course they did not. Anyway, basketball. We're kind of on that talk, on that flavor. Little birdies tweeting. I'm not talking. You mentioned X.com. I'm not talking about Twitter. I'm talking about little chirp. Basketball workouts have fired back up. The summer of birdies. Mr. Brendel has himself some birdies yet again. We are back in birdie season, and
little birdie season.
I love little birdie season
because good of a birdie that Spawn hit at that U.S. Open.
Ooh, what?
Oh, are we talking those kind of birdies? Are they that level of birdie?
We're talking those birdies later. Don't worry. I remember us texting. We'll talk about that in riffing. But I'm talking about the birdies that are located there inside of Fifth Third Arena. Chad, I got to pass it over to you because you are the man with the Twiddle birdie access. What would you say is the glaring top thing that you've heard as far as the team getting together? Is everyone in town? Is all systems go? How are things kind of floating at obviously the very early juncture of summer workouts?
Yeah, there's only been a couple. I think there's been 3. Maybe today might have been 4. So, it's a good time to start checking in and getting with my sources and hearing how things are going. Now we're at a point where there's no overarching themes yet, Brent.
Right.
Because, guys are getting their physicals and, getting acclimated, and there's not a ton going on quite yet, but they're out there. Everybody's getting together for the first time. I think the biggest thing two big things I've kind of gathered so far from talking to people. One, this team has already maybe been more chippy in 4 practices together than the entirety of last season.
Good.
That edge, that toughness, that guys competing and getting after it, and occasionally that's especially when you're dealing with guys that don't exactly know each other yet, gets a little chippy at times, and they're not doing 5-on-5, like they're not fully into things yet. So the the individual competition is sporadic. A lot of it is still skill development, like at the early part of the program. So when they do get the chance to do a little bit of one-on-one or have a drill that's got some one-on-one elements to it, guys are trying to make an impression. That's that's the interesting thing is there's 11, 12 guys that can play like that fully expect to be getting minutes on this team this year. So every little bit for these guys right now that they can make an impression is important for them. You know, they're trying to come in and win coaches over and, you know, earn their spot and kind of figure out where they're at in the leadership hierarchy. I will have a bit on that in a moment. But, you know, I think that's kind of been the main thing so far is the competitiveness of the guys. I think it's going to be once you get into July and they really start getting into 5-on-5 and, you know, getting after it, I think it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. But that's been the big thing. The other big thing I think is just the drastic difference in the bigs. Being able, like, you know, they're doing. So before you go through like putting in plays, you're going to go through your concepts, like, you know, working on baseline corner threes or working on high ball screens or, you know, things like that. From my understanding, the bigs being able to dribble, shoot, and pass a lot more than the previous group, being more skilled out at the top of the offense. Including I've heard a lot of really good things about Jalen Haynes, big slime, being a great like guy to run offense through up top because he can hit the 15-footer. He really screens. Like unlike the team last year, Jalen Haynes is hunting to actually make contact with somebody on a screen. And then he can roll, he can pop, he can go to the elbow and hit that little 15-foot jumper. But he can also really pass it from that position. If a guy's back cutting off of an action, you know, a handoff action, he can keep the handoff and hit somebody on the opposite side. So they feel like he's a guy that at center they can run some offense through, which I know everybody, and rightfully so, kind of got frustrated with Aziz out there because really he was just a screener and a handoff guy, and he couldn't do any of, you know, you had to watch him roll for a lob. But other than that, there wasn't a lot of aggressiveness to what Aziz was trying to accomplish. So hearing that there's things that are opening up already just as they're going through the basics because of the bigs. And Tyler McKinley, similar qualities, can really pass, sets a good screen, you know, fundamentally knows how to play. Chom is another guy that sets pretty good screens, can pop, can roll for the lob. That kind of seems to be like on the court the biggest thing that has people excited so far as they're going through these early stages of the workout program, that there's a lot more you can do on offense when those guys at the top of the key are a threat.
I was going to say, I mean, you brought up Tyler McKinley, and my first question is, you got 4 guys that are coming back this season in Day-Day, Jizzle, Tyler McKinley, and Halvin Zella. And I'm just curious, before we get into any of the new guys and what they're really doing, have you heard anything notable from really any of those 4 guys?
Nothing major. I mean, like I said, it's just skill development. So there's not going to be like this guy had 20 in a 5-on-5 or sometimes actually it helps a little bit more to get intel from open gyms than it does from workouts because they're actually running. But I think they're just kind of this week, now that everybody's here, they're just this week going to be getting into the open gym stuff. So hopefully that will Ryan just said I'm out. He didn't want to talk basketball today.
No, he's out.
Hopefully there'll be some more on that. I have heard some good things about Day-Day kind of stepping into a more of a leadership role. That was, I mean, I think we would all agree leadership was largely absent last year.
Lacking, yeah.
There really wasn't anybody that fit into that role. I think Day-Day has been kind of start trying to be a guy that is coming out of his shell a little bit more and taking that upon himself, which I think is a really good sign. He's a senior. It's his final go round. So I think that's a good thing to hear from Day-Day, that, he's picking that up a little bit more and being a little bit more assertive with it.
And Chad, you mentioned, there's a lot of guys that are expecting minutes and there's high competition. Do you feel like that's going to create a little bit of friction with like leadership involvement, or do you think it's all for the better right now?
I think it's a chance for guys to step up and be a leader, to be able to step in and be like, hey, calm down. Like, let's get it. Let's play with an edge. Let's be aggressive. Let's get after it. But, maybe this is a chance for somebody to step into that role, to be able to like step into the middle of those situations and display some of that type of leadership that you're looking for, that goes a little farther than just, calling plays when you're coming down the court.
Yeah. Because I for one believe, I think having a lot of guys that are competitive, that they're all very skilled, they all like are skilled enough to be getting minutes, that it's only going to make the team better. It just, this day and age of where basketball has been, the transfer portal has introduced kind of like a lot of rentals, so to say, where you try to form a team on a bunch of guys that are only going to be there for a year or two. So we knew we kind of had those issues last year, and just, I don't know if you were able to elaborate more on, like, if you feel like this is different, this combination of rentals, so to say. I know it's early, but do you feel like
that's
it's
the hard part, is
do you feel like it's trending in the right direction?
Sure. I mean, but Ryan, it's in this era, everybody's going to show up on their best behavior for the most part, right? Like, you're trying to make a good impression. You're trying to, like, earn your spot, if you will. So the first couple weeks, everybody's going to be on their P's and Q's, if you will. But then as you get into it, like, then is when you'll kind of find out who's fully bought in on those days in the summer where, okay, you're at week 6 of the summer workout program. Is everybody still as bought in as they were week 1 and 2? Like, I think that's where, when you get into July, and they get back from that 4th of July break, I think that's where you're going to have a little bit better answer to those questions, to see, okay, who's got the same intensity, the same high effort level that they had back when everybody was just getting to campus in June and trying to make a good first impression.
Yeah, that makes sense. Go ahead, Roy.
I was just saying, it's definitely going to be a tall task for Wes, because you're going to have a lot of guys that are, they're going to have like that alpha-like mentality. Like, hey, I played at a school previously. Like, I'm coming here expecting to play, and it's being able to balance, like, to balance kind of like the different platoons of guys. Because, having, like you said, like anywhere from 10 to 12 guys that all expect minutes, like, it's going to be hard to balance that. And then hard to also balance, like, who's really going to like emerge as the leader. But, I think it's all for the better, because those leaders are going to be really kind of like forged in the fire. Like, the ones that emerge, it's going to be, the ones that should be.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a good sign that Day-Day does want to take this upon himself right now. And from what I've heard, it's intentional. Like, he is like, hey, I want to be the guy that is in that role. I want to be the guy that everybody looks to for some leadership. And it's a change for him, because he has been kind of a quiet guy. But it looks like he's trying to make the effort to come out of his shell and be a little bit. And here's the good news: outside of those 4 guys, nobody knows that he was more quiet over the past couple of years. Like, they weren't here. They didn't get to see that. So, that's a chance for him to kind of change the role, the responsibility that he's got on this team.
Yeah, and I think those types of guys, those quieter guys that they've done the right things. Like we never questioned Day-Day's his care, his effort, and I think last year with guys kind of falling off, and he really emerged. And it's always hard, like being alongside Jizzle, because Jizzle kind of he goes, he fills it up, he scores points. So I think when you look at guards, you always kind of like you think of Jizzle, and I think the way Day-Day played last year, where he proved, that we can rely on him offensively more than we were thinking, and now that it's another year of him being in the program, and he goes about his business the right way. I like hearing he's one of the guys that is taking control, putting forth the effort to establish himself as a leader, because that's the type of player that I think this team needs to be a leader.
Yeah, I agree.
One thing that I'm a guy that likes to, whenever a video comes out of practice or workouts from, the official X account for the University of Cincinnati men's basketball team, or pictures, if you will, I like to pause and zoom. I like to analyze and dive
you're
deep.
One of
I
those
don't care.
Weirdos
I don't care if it's day 1. I don't care if it's day 17. I'm going to dive in because I like to see that nitty gritty. And one thing that I saw was, last year going into the season, we all thought, hey, this is going to be a massive rebounding team. This is going to be a team that gets after it on the boards. This is going to be a team that has the ability with multiple people to really go and grab a loose ball, kind of the aggression. And then that ended up not really truly being the identity of the team last season. For many different reasons. One thing that I noticed in one of the pictures, though, that was put out, it might have been on Instagram, but it looks like they went with the old traditional, like the exercise ball inside of the basket or something like that, kind of creating a bubble above the rim. One of the main things that all the fan base was clamoring about was adding some more oomph in the offseason, a little bit more onions, if you will. And it seems like the toughness has ramped up. And I don't know, have you heard anything about, because when you put that bubble in, that means it's rebound city time. Anything along the lines of trying to ramp up the aggression in the early workouts?
I have heard that is a regular at the end of practice or end of workouts, or has been a regular thing at the end of workouts so far, is they'll do something with that bubble in the rim. So you can't make a shot. The only thing that matters is getting the rebound. And from what I've heard, they've done a couple different things with it. But the emphasis on, we weren't good enough on the glass last year, and we have to get back to being a factor there, is something that, at least from what I'm hearing, is something that is going to be prominent this summer, with, kind of putting that ring in the rim and saying, hey, shots aren't going to go in sometimes. We gotta be better at going and getting the ball.
And was that unique to this offseason? Did you hear anything?
I have not
about
seen
this?
it. I have not seen that used or heard that used since Wes has been here.
Nice.
If it has, I haven't been around and I haven't heard of it, but I have heard already a couple times that is something that they're doing at the end of every practice, is bringing that bad boy out.
Yeah, I love it. You got to make a change to expect some new results. So that's good. Yeah. Getting down and dirty in the early days too. What are we, 6 months out from the start of the season? We're already getting nasty with the ball.
It sets a tone.
Yeah, I love it.
Kind of reminiscent.
You mentioned
finishers, Royer.
Yeah.
You mentioned the big men already that are setting screens and what have you, but we also brought in a big man coach in Njai, who comes in via UCF. Some say part of a package deal. Who knows? That's above my pay grade. But in any case, how's he assimilating with this coaching staff and the university as a whole at this point?
So far seems good. Today was his birthday, so working on his birthday today.
Shouts to the B-Day.
Seems to, that is something that I think when they lost Mike Roberts, like coaching big men, you can do it, but that doesn't necessarily make you a great big man coach. I think that it's been lost since Mike's been gone. And I think having Mamadou Njai, who played at a high level in college, played professionally, has been coaching for over a decade, coaching. Mamadou Njai isn't coming in to coach your guards, right? That's not what you're bringing him in for. So that should be something that benefits everybody, getting to work with a guy that has a plan, a specific way that he likes to teach his big men. One of the interesting things I've heard about is they're doing, like, they have and I haven't seen it, but this is just from what I'm hearing. They have like a towel that they hold between their hands, and they will duck in and to keep your hands up when you're posting. They have this towel between their hands, and they can't drop the towel below their head until the ball is passed to them. And then they can drop the towel, catch the ball, and go and score. And I mean, it's something that they didn't have anybody that really they could throw the ball to on the block and score consistently last year. So something like that is just what you're talking about, Aaron. I think one of those like little details that a big man coach who has successfully coached quality big men over the years is going to have his tips and tricks and things that he's picked up from when he was a player and over his decade plus, in 14 years, he's been a college basketball assistant. I think that's one of those things that you're hearing about as they're getting started. That is something that's new to the program and something that shows like he's got a plan of action. He's got a style that he uses, and he's imparting it on the guys that are going to play inside.
Yeah. And I think it's
already
good.
Sounds grittier.
Yeah. I think it's also good. Like, he brings an aspect of newness to our program, but he's also bringing along a sense of comfort with Chom, which I think is, having a Chom, like his talent, his skill set, that, some could say, like, if you go change programs and you go to a coaching staff that's never worked with you and never integrated you, like, within their offense, within their scheme, but bringing over a coach as well that knows Chom, like, even before that he was playing at UCF, recruited him there. You said are they from the same country?
Yeah, they're both from Senegal.
Yeah. So I think bringing him here with Chom, I think it's only going to make it better for Chom's integration into being a Bearcat, being able to keep him comfortable in his actions, in his offense, in his defensive responsibilities. But like you said, also bringing like a new kind of some new life, some new teaching, some new ideas to the coaching staff and to the other transfers and guys that have been here as well.
I love hearing about that towel thing as well, because that's just such a small thing, but it just was so annoying in the past when big men, and even you see it in the NBA as well, and you see it all over college basketball when they bring the ball down after a rebound, or they aren't calling for it up high for an entry pass, things of that sort. So
I think another thing it's good for
big man coach. Yeah,
I think another thing it's good for too, Brent, is it keeps you from using your arms for position. You have to learn how to use your butt, how to use your body, how to use, you've got to figure out a way to get squared up and get open without hooking and putting yourself in foul position. So I think it's a good technique to learn that, when you're in there, you want as big a target for the ball as you can give the guard. And this, I'm excited to see what it looks like in person. Yeah. But, it sounds like something that makes sense when you're talking about developing skill in big men. One of those skills is getting your ass on that block, getting your hands up, and giving a target for your guard to throw comfortably throw you a pass.
Right. I got millions of different things that you need to give me your birdie's phone number. I can just call them and just I speak I speak bird, by the way.
I would not do that to them. They'd be on the phone for 4 hours.
Twiddle-diddle-dee is what I speak.
No, you can't have those numbers.
7-minute questions.
Chad, real quick. Obviously, all these new toys, all these new names that are added to the roster. Have you heard anything? I mean, I wanted to go one by one, but we'll save that for when you're able to go and actually take it in.
You can go one by one. I'll give you what I'm hearing, if that's the path you want to go. I don't know that there's going to be a lot on each guy yet.
How about the McDonald's All-American, Shana Bayev? It's what a lot of people are hoping he's able to come in and be, a volume scorer at times, be someone that can, fill it up from the outside. Have you heard anything along the side of is he showing that same shot making ability, or kind of coming in? Obviously needs to probably add some strength, as every true freshman does, but just early things that you're hearing about Sean.
First one is, he can really shoot it. Like, comfortable, smooth, just advanced player on offense. That is carrying over so far. One of the key things I have heard is the processing that Corey Evans talked about when we had him on this program shortly after he got the job. That ability to kind of be quick with your decision making, to have a plan before the ball hits your hands. I think that was a big problem with last year's team, is they didn't have a plan until the ball hit their hands. And then, by the time you develop a plan from there, it's tough to make a defense pay. Yep. He's so far, from what I've heard, is a guy that is shooting it well, but can create and can help keep an offense in rhythm. He's not a ball stopper, I guess is a good way to put it. Now, he's got some ISO to him, and that's going to be any guy that comes in that's a high level scorer. You're going to have to continue to work on them being fully bought into the team offense. But I don't think with him, it's a guy that just is hunting his shot above anything. Yeah. It sounds more like a guy that if the shot's there, he'll take it. But if not, he has a very good understanding of what to do with the ball. If it's time to get downhill, get downhill. If it's time to keep it moving, keep it moving. And then, of course, that deep range on his jump shot is something that you can't teach. It's not something you just, okay, we're going to teach you how to hit a 24-footer with a hand, up.
Can't teach that.
No, you can't. It doesn't matter how many hours you spend with Tim Buckley. He's probably not going to be able to teach you that.
Go ahead, Aaron. Popped in.
I was going to ask about Kirk Risa, because I think he brings something that we talk about, the grit. I think he might be the grittiest guy that they've brought in, because he doesn't back down from anybody.
I'd go Buck Harris on that one, but Krisa's not far behind, probably. Buck Harris, Sincere Harris has got a little bit of that. Just, I'm gonna stop you. Like, it doesn't matter how good you are, you're not scoring on me. Kind of screw loose in his head. That I think, but Krisa, I'm really interested with him. The sense I get is that at least early, they're thinking of him as like a combo that can play off the ball, make shots, create. But I think they're probably looking more, at least right now, at least at this early stage, and this could just be like they want to integrate him into this before they just give him the keys to the car as a point guard. I think they're looking at him as like a secondary ball handler that can really shoot and that can continue what they're looking for in moving the offense off the ball. Because having a great point guard is awesome, but if he passes it to somebody on the wing that doesn't keep the offense going, then you've kind of wasted that. So I think there is, at least initially, some interest in finding out, like, what does he look like as more of a combo guard that can play on the ball, can play off the ball. You use him on the wing early in the offense to keep your offense in flow, to keep your offense in rhythm. So I'm interested to see if that continues, because it sounds like, the guys getting the work, like point guard wise, early are Day-Day Jizzle and Keyshawn Tillery, who have heard good things about so far. But that'll be interesting to see if that keeps up, where they keep Carissa more with the 2s and 3s, or if as he gets comfortable, you see him get some more run as a 1.
I mean, in basketball these days, I mean, you watch the NBA Finals, it's as many guards deep that can do multiple things, handle the ball, pass the ball, create, make shots, is the better. So, I mean, you even saw that in the championship game last year, that Florida had a few guards on the court at all times that could do it, and same with Houston. So a lot of people thought, oh, maybe Cincinnati's done with the roster, and maybe this is what we've got heading into next season. And then a UFO came down from space and dropped a certain Baba Miller into Wes Miller's lap. What have you heard as far as Baba and he fits the daggone profile for a stretch 4 with defensive capabilities in the range to step out and shoot it. Is he on campus? Obviously he is. You said everyone is in town.
Yes, yeah.
So any early
actually, I saw him last week because I was there for a football camp.
Okay.
And saw him walking around, and I mean he does look like an alien. Like 7 foot, 6'11", 7 foot, 7'4.5" wingspan.
Yep.
From what I've heard, somewhere in like the 225, 230 range. So he's, for that size, he's still thin a little bit, but he's not like, some of those guys are like 195, 200 pounds.
Right.
Like he does have a little bit of size to him. He did not look like a wafer. So he looks good physically. And I think the interesting thing will be, like, what did he learn in his year away from playing Power 5 basketball?
Yeah.
Because the physicality at Florida State, it sounded like that was a little much for him.
Yep.
Did he, as he got to Florida International, did he take that into account and, start working on being a little bit more physical with his game? You don't know until you move back up to this level. Yeah. But sounds like he can shoot it. He can pass it. He's long. He's active. I think there's every tool imaginable to work with. The question will be rebounding, getting him out on the floor as a defender. Because, teams are going to try to probably, I would assume, because Chom is so big and mobile, you're not going to see teams try to get him switched onto a ball handler.
Right.
Because he can just back off and he's so long, you're going to have a hard time getting around him. Yeah. You would think if they're going to attack somebody in those situations, it would be Miller.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see how he really steps up to the plate, knowing, I'm going to have to work on my footwork and my use my length and use, whatever advantages I have. I think that part's going to be fascinating with him. But offensively, he's got the tools.
Yeah, and you said Florida International. You meant Florida Atlantic.
Florida Atlantic. Sorry,
just in
Florida
case someone says some BS. But yeah, gotta love that.
whichever one it is.
I mean, that dude.
Directional Florida.
Right. You want to take me centrally? We can go centrally Florida. And
we don't talk about them.
No, we don't. We do not. Aaron, you want to round them out? Any final cues?
You brought up Buck Harris. When I brought up Kirk Risa, they've played together before, I believe, right? Weren't they both at West Virginia at the same time? 2 years ago?
Yeah.
No. 2 years ago, Buck was at Illinois.
That's what I thought. Yeah. They did not play together. My brain was processing.
They both come out of the West Virginia footprint. Yeah. So tell me what you got on Buck Harris.
From what I've heard, his energy is outstanding. Like, he is a guy that is full go, foot on the gas every minute of practice. And he's probably going to be the one that'll cause, if there are if things flare up, I would imagine a lot of times Buck Harris is going to be the reason why, because of the way he's defending somebody, and guys are going to get frustrated and have words with him, and he is not going to back down from those words. Like, he is supremely confident. The one good thing I have heard, at least early in his time here, is that he has spent a lot of time with Tim Buckley working on his shot. I know a lot of people had fun at Buck's expense.
The doctor is in.
At Tim Buckley's expense. What I will tell you from last year is, every time they would let us come to a practice, before and after practice, Day Thomas was working with Tim Buckley. I did not see anybody else. You would see guys occasionally like getting tips from him, but you could tell Day Thomas was going to him regularly to improve his jump shot. Mm-hmm. He went from 28% to 41%.
Yep.
I have heard Buck Harris I have heard Buck Harris has been spending a ton of time with Tim Buckley and just working on fine-tuning little stuff. Like, I think from when you watch Harris's shot at West Virginia, it looks like he's lefty. So instead of like following straight through, he's got a little Jaren. Remember how Jaren's hand would kind of come out sideways? I think they're working on getting that where it's a little more, straightforward, getting him a cleaner look at the rim. I think he's going to be a pretty important piece of this team. I don't know in what role exactly, but if he can hit, I'm talking low. Like, if he can hit 30%, 31% from three and be the type of defender that he is, he's going to be a significant factor in this rotation. Is it starter at the 2? I don't know. Do you see? I think looking at the roster, I've talked about this before. I could see a scenario where he is the third guard. He wouldn't, he's not going to be a forward. He's still going to be a guard. But we've seen a bunch of teams in the Big 12 play 3 guards. Mm-hmm. I could see him being a third guard and really being a defensive stopper and providing kind of a spark, some energy offensively. So that's kind of my read on him early. I know everybody sounds like they really enjoy having him out there because he is energy giver, not an energy taker. You love energy givers, right, Ryan?
Or energy vampires. I've heard that one used before.
Yeah, energy vampires.
Yeah.
It's killing.
A little buck on buck special there. Gotta love that. And the greatest thing is your throat all right, Chad? I think you got a little.
Yeah, it's just a little frog in my throat.
Yeah. A little frog that likes to dance. A little dancing frog in your throat.
A little bear in my throat.
Yeah, a little bear in your throat, a little dancing bear. I like that. Anyway, so as I further envelope this one by one, it seems to me that if Buck Harris brings that same intensity and that same aggression in game day, guess what he's got? He's got big slime to back him up if any scraps were to take place, which is a pretty awesome guy to have in your corner. Ryan, any more questions out of you or Aaron as far as what the birdies have been hearing over there at Fifth Third Arena on early workouts? I imagine Celestine's knocking down a bunch of outside jumpers as
you really
advertised.
Really shoot it.
Yeah, so I mean this is early in the process. And Aaron,
we should talk about the new kids, Keyshawn Tillery and Sean Abayev.
Well, we went in depth on Sean Abayev.
That was first one, yeah.
And Chad did say
Tillery.
he heard that that Tillery has been looking really good too.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to figure out where exactly he gets elevated minutes, but everything about him is so far as advertised. Toughness, shows some leadership qualities, shoots the three pretty well, can pass. Work to do defensively, as all of them do, and they're 4 workouts in. Like, defense has not really been a priority at this point. Like I said, the first couple weeks, like June, essentially is for skill development, and then once you get into July, it's a little bit more team oriented, where you're running more 5-on-5 and playing a little bit more than learning. But all indications are Tillery is what they thought they recruited. Because look, I've been doing this long enough to know, and Ryan will tell you too, guys get to campus and you've heard a lot about what they're supposed to be or what a coaching staff thinks they're getting, and it's not that. And you're like, man, this dude, he doesn't have anything that the coaches said that they thought they were getting out of this kid. So far, Tillery seems to be very much in line with what they are looking for out of a young guard.
Twitter diddly. Jackson 5 talking to birds.
Tweet.
We are not talking about the old school X.com. We are talking about birdies in Fifth Third Arena. Shouts to the birdies, man. That's some good info. I will get that birdie's phone number and he will hear from me later. So
do not. No, you're not allowed to have the birdie's phone number.
Okay, fine. Just real quick. Chad and Aaron, and then also Chad and Keegan went in depth on the whole Big 12 schedule matrix that came out. So go back and listen to the last BCJ pod and also nightcaps on that one. The 3 home and homes, UCF, West Virginia, and of course Houston. So maybe 2 cracks at it. 2 cracks to finally take down the Houston Cougars. Let's do it. Dayton, officially the date was November 11th, Tuesday at Fifth Arena. Real quick, the last time that the Bearcats played Dayton at Fifth
season
Arena.
Opener?
No, I think there's
Is it
one
the week after?
I think it's there'll probably be like one game on that Friday or Saturday, and then that'll probably be.
No, they usually have been opening the season on a Tuesday.
I think it's let me see here. So last year they opened on they opened Monday, November 4th. So that would be probably
the week before.
Week prior, yeah. But real quick trivia. I know you love when I do these trivias. The last time that the Bearcats played Dayton at home at Fifth Third Arena was in the NIT back in 2010. Who led the Bearcats in scoring in that NIT loss to the Dayton Flyers?
Lance Stevenson.
Lance Stevenson is your answer there. And that is actually incorrect. In his final game as a Cincinnati Bearcat, Deontay Vaughn dropped 28 points. 4 of 15 from 3. Wow, that's a lot of attempts. But hey, shouts to Deontay, 28 points in his final game as a Bearcat.
Tay never had a problem letting it fly.
Exactly. And he's one of the more unheralded Bearcats in history. Which
are you trying to mispronounce words today? Unheralded?
Unheralded.
Unheralded?
Well, I'm
What is happening?
On
just
Geraldo Rivera.
yeah,
Brent.
that's what I'm going for.
The Pacers are getting their butt kicked. Your wordsmithing is
Spiraling.
not. Yeah, it's spiraling.
I'm spiraling as well. Let's go ahead and timestamp this and get into the ripping before I spiral all the way out of control.
All right, we're going to change it up again on the timestamp this week. Quick Paper wants to put a plug in for their upcoming Canes, Ohio 10U tryouts for the 2026 season. They use a private indoor facility playing in the SWOL. Tryouts will be held July 8th at Moeller's new baseball complex. Please reach out to my guy, Nick Tino. Get signed up, 513-470-2029. And if you need paper supplies,
yeah,
same number. Call Nick.
They'll hook it up. And you know what? Speaking of hooking it up, my boy Ryan Roy's about to hook it up with my favorite segment every week. Oh, baby.
You know it, Brent. All right, we'll stick with the basketball momentum. Who do you guys have as your sleeper contributor on this basketball roster?
Oh, I love that question. Sleeper contributor.
I mean, is there a sleeper? Like, I think we expect a lot out of most of these guys that they brought in. Like,
think one elevates.
I guess you could say Haynes because everyone's expecting Chom to take all the minutes pretty much. So, like, if Haynes averages like 10 and 6 off the bench.
Yeah. I mean, there's a possibility he's the starter at the 4.
Yeah, true.
I don't think he's going to start over Chom at the 5, but there's a possibility those two guys are in the starting lineup. It's not. You would think now with Baba Miller, that's more probable, but
yeah,
maybe Miller is your guy off the bench that can play either of those positions. I don't know.
What if Jizzle's the answer and he actually does take that step and averages like 17? I mean, is that because that's not expected? I would say. I think it's hoped for, if you will. I kind of want the answer to be Abayev, and he has a Carmelo Anthony type season, but that's shooting for the stars. And what was it? Shooting for the stars, you might end up on the moon, or what is it? Shooting for the moon, you might end up on a star.
Shoot for the moon, you land among the stars.
There we go. That's what I was looking for. Thank you, Aaron. So I'll go Abayev, and he has the Carmelo Anthony season, and we cut down the nets. There you go.
Aaron?
I don't know. I feel like you could probably mention it's tough because I think you do expect pretty much everybody that they brought in to have some significant type of role. I think the sleeper, though, if he's able to hit 32, 33%, working with the shot doctor, it might be Buck Harris, because I don't know where he fits this team offensively. If he's able to give you something offensively that, like, I mean, we remember what John did his senior year. So if he can kind of give you some type of energy like what John gave you, I mean, that would be massive for a guy who's supposed to be coming in as a defensive spark plug.
I agree there. The only thing I will say is that in comparing him to Newman was a pretty consistent three-point shooter. Like, he wasn't a high level three-point shooter, but he shot in the 30s pretty consistently. I think Harris shot 11% from 3 last year. So
dreadful.
He's got a much bigger step to take than Newman did. I think it's a good angle though, Aaron, because if he can give you 8-9 points a game with the way he plays defense, it's going to be really hard to keep him off the floor. Like, really difficult to keep him off the floor. Because he's going to be your best perimeter defender instantly. Like, he was the best perimeter defender in the conference last year. I don't foresee him getting worse at that spot. So that's a good one. I think actually it might be Celestine.
Okay.
Because as soon as they got Baba and then you're looking at Haynes is going to need some minutes there. I think the look with like all of a sudden it's like, well, Celestine will be a nice piece, but if he's back to who he was at Cal, where he's shooting 43% from three,
Yeah.
you're going to want him out there. You're going to have to find a way to get him out there. Again, we get back into how are the minutes going to fit to get all these guys comfortable and get them in a rhythm. It's going to be interesting to see Wes thread this needle on everybody getting a shot to show what they can do, to figure out who you rely on and who you don't.
Yeah.
I think Celestine, look, again, the 1 year he shot 45%, 44% from three at Cal.
Yeah. On
There's not too many of those guys out there.
Yeah.
It wasn't like he, shot 30 and made 14 of them. Like this is a dude that was 100 plus attempts and shot the piss out of it.
Mm-hmm. Royer, who do you want it to be?
Urquiza.
Oh yeah.
That's the fun part too, is we've been all over the map, just the four of us.
Yeah, I know. Exactly.
Good problem to have.
It is.
All right, I guess the best content we have here is basketball. So after what you've seen, I know we've got a little birdie report from Chad today, and we've been able to see some social media posts about workouts being back. Who do you think Wes Miller rolls out starting five based on what you've seen and heard? Or just what you want it to be?
Go ahead, guys.
I go probably Kirk Risa at the 1, Jizzle at the 2. I'll say Celestine at the 3, Baba at the 4, and Chom at the 5.
Yeah, it's gonna be fascinating what they do with those, guard, the backcourt scenario. Let's go Jizzle, Buck, Abayev, Baba, Chom.
That's a lot of dead air, but what do you got?
Yeah, I'm still like originally I thought Jizzle and Kerr would be the 2, but I'm starting to think it might be Day starts at the 1, and then Jizzle at the 2, Harris at the 3. From right now, and this is just right now, I'll go Big Slime at the 4.
Okay.
And Chom at the 5. Subject to change.
Yeah.
But man, the stuff I've been hearing about Harris and just how physical he is and how skilled offensively, great hands, can hit a 15-foot jumper, can post you up and score on the block, can actually catch it and get downhill and drive to the rim.
Harris. I think you mean Slime,
Haynes.
not Harris.
Yeah, Slime.
Big
Haynes.
Slime.
Can get downhill and attack from 15, 17 feet off the bounce. I think he's going to be hard to keep off the floor. I think you might see him start at the 4, and then maybe you've got Baba as like a super big man sub that can, you put him in, you slide one to the other, you can kind of play mix and match. I'm going surprising myself even just from talking to people over the past week. But I think it's going to be hard to keep him off the floor. Big Slime.
As we've said, good problems to have. Royer, you got one?
I feel like it's going to be hard to keep Day out of the starting lineup. It is, especially what we're hearing about him emerging as a leader, and kind of that step he took last year. And I think the type of the player he's shown to be, he's only going to get better and command more. You know, I think it'll be Jizzle Day. I think I'm gonna just mimic Chad because I mean I like being able to have kind of like a little bit more of a bruisers type of player with big slime, but he still has that athleticism that Chad's talking about. Having him out there for rebounding, being able to use him in the screen and roll game, as well as they could even do some exchanges between him and Sham as well. Just keeping the defense guessing on its heels. You know, I really like that big slime and Sham rolling out the back end of the lineup. But yeah, having that aggressive, you know, defender in Harris out there, I think that would be the best lineup just to start the season. You know, you can roll out a 5 that's really going to go attack and then get in the other team's shit and look to set the tone, and then you have a lot of skill coming off the bench. So that would be my guess so far.
I love it. Good problems to have. Roy, you got another one?
I do. All right. Who do you think is more likely to win the Big 12 next year? The football team or the basketball team? I'm not saying those are high odds for either, but if you had to pick one, who has a better chance?
Wow.
Aaron? Brent?
I think it's a football team because I think that basketball is such a gauntlet. Not that football isn't, but I think that this year's football team I think is super slept on by anyone who covers the Big 12, by anyone who covers college football, and I have high hopes for this team. I don't think eight wins is crazy talk for this team. So I don't know. If I had to pick, just knowing what the gauntlet of men's hoops is for this conference versus what football is, and the question marks kind of up and down the conference for football more so than basketball. I'd go. Plus, there's not a Houston in the way of football as there is in basketball. So I'm going football.
Yeah, I think you just got to look at Arizona State last year for kind of the proof in the pudding, and then you see on the basketball side, Houston went 19-1. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just kind of two different things. In basketball, you have the known commodities. Sure, you can kind of burst through, but bursting through and finishing fourth in the Big 12 is like winning a lot of other conferences in basketball. So I think basketball is just, golly, man, you've got to have like 3 legit NBA dudes, maybe, you know, at least 2 legit NBA guys, and then a couple of really great pieces around them. Maybe they do, and they bounce out and surprise everyone. But I think football, if you spark at the right time, you catch some teams, you know, when they don't expect you to come up and beat them, and then all of a sudden you're regular season champs, or you're playing in the Big 12 championship game, and you pull out a dub. So I think, although both unlikely, I'll go football.
Yeah, it's hard for it not to be football just because there's so much noise at the top of the conference in basketball.
Yeah.
And Iowa State's going to be really good again. BYU should be outstanding.
Texas
Houston
Tech.
is Houston, Texas Tech, Arizona.
And you've got
Like, there's
Kansas without
Kansas. There's a lot of known entities in basketball that you have to jump. And you can be really good in basketball, finish 6th place in this league, and be a top 15, 20 type team. That's not really the case in football. I mean, there'll be a couple teams, whoever ends up at the top of the conference will find their way into the top 10, whatever, in the rankings, but there's just a lot more volatility in the Big 12 football wise, because so many games are close, because the talent level across the league is about equal. Like, you're going to lose. Arizona State's going to have a game like they did last year where their quarterback was dinged up for a game and they catch a loss at the hands of Cincinnati, who finished at the bottom of the conference. Like,
Yep.
That's going to happen a lot more frequently in this football conference than basketball. So I would go football.
Royer, I imagine you're following suit.
Yeah. I think a better question would be who finishes higher in the standings would probably have been better not. I think
Save it for next week's BBP then.
Yeah.
We'll
Great
riff
question.
again.
Follow up. Now you're getting follow up riffing with Royer questions. Like,
That's
it's
how we
a
riff.
natural progression of riffing with Royer.
That is
Yes.
how we riff.
Lord knows we're gonna make this mailbag a lot longer than it needs to be, so might as well just bank that for next week.
What's your final question, Roy? You have one?
Brent, why don't you take it away? You seem to do the best at leading us into it.
This one startled me a little bit. If you remember yesterday, you didn't text me, you called me. You instantly hit me on the speed dial. And you said Brent, and I said, what, Ryan, what's up, man? And you said, dude, it's my dad's birthday. It's Father's Day, and we all collectively fell asleep, and we had a little afternoon Father's Day snooze, and we woke up and Tiger Woods won the U.S. Open. Like, what's going on? I thought Tiger was not playing in the U.S. Open, and I said, Ryan, calm down. It's a weather delay. There's still golf to be played. And you said, are you sure? I'm seeing Tiger Woods winning right now. And I said, yes. Look up in the corner. It says 2008 replay. It was a replay of a previous done U.S. Open. And I said, the weather delay is still happening. And then also, what happened after that weather delay, Ryan? J.J. Spawn came back and had an unbelievable second half after the weather delay, after the little layover, if you will. And I said, Ryan, what is one memorable delay that you've had that either was good or bad and led to something amazing afterward? Remember, you were like, golly, you know what? Maybe it was a bowl game that had a bit of a weather delay. Maybe it was a layover for a flight and you had just the greatest time in Terminal B. Maybe it was, a little delay watching the World Series and you're a Cubs fan. Who knows? But I said, Ryan, let's ask this on the BVP. And you said, yes, let's do that. Thank you for letting me know that Tiger Woods did not win. So question is, what is a memorable layover or delay that you will always remember and the outcome that came afterwards?
Mine is the UCF ass whooping that we received so bad that they were essentially asking us, do you guys even want to play? You're going to have to wait. But it was like, you guys can wave the white towel. But we waited in there. They ended up just calling it because it was one of the worst ass beatings I've ever received as a player in any sport at any level.
That was third quarter.
Oh my God!
Who was it? Did Vic just come in and say, "Are we done, guys?"
Cunningham was coming in. Was it Cunningham or was that?
No, it was Bone.
Yeah, and just like, you guys, you can not play the rest of the game, or some shit like that. And I don't remember how it ended up going down, but I just remember the fact that was even being put on the table was just so embarrassing and one of the definitely the worst competitiveness experience I've ever been a part of.
It wasn't the bowl game against Boston College.
I mean, that ended up going well. We went out there and beat the shit out of them.
Boston College went into their locker room and went, "We don't want to do this anymore."
Yeah. Ended up good for me. I ended up got to play in the fourth quarter of that game because that weather probably brought out the woes of Boston College, so we got to beat up on them even more, get a little bit of Royer action there at Make-A-Wish time into the fourth. So it was fun.
38-6. Vegas was booming that night for me. That day, that afternoon, if you will. Yes, fantastic. Aaron, Chad?
I'll go with the Boston College game. That was one that you could tell Boston College looked like they were spirited up until that rain delay hit. And then you guys came out of that and they wanted to not be there. They wanted to be anywhere else but on that football field. And you guys, I think, handled it perfectly. What was going on in the locker room? That was a pretty long delay. What were you guys doing?
Well, it's because they would rev us back up and like, all right, we're about to go out. And then they'd sit us back down. And Vic kept coming. He's like, those motherfuckers, they don't want to play us. They're scared of us. They're trying to call the game. They don't want to play. So he was hyping us up. But he had to do that like 3 times. He'd come in like, all right, we're ready to go. So the first couple times, it was hitting pretty hard. The guys were rallying up. And the third time, it was just kind of like, all right, when is this actually going to happen?
Okay. I'm going to go outside of sports and say you said what, a layover or a delay that led to something amazing. I was married for 5 years and it ended really bad. And now I have a family with 2 beautiful daughters and 2 stepsons, and things are very different in my world. And this coming off of Father's Day, where I got to kind of reflect on all of that and all my life. That was a bad delay that ended up something amazing. So that's where I'll go with it.
Here is the box. You went outside of the box. That was very nice. Very nice, Aaron. Outside of the box. Out of the box, a good show back in the day when you were a little kid. Out of the box. Out of the box. Out of the box. Mine was I was flying back from France for a wedding, and we had a layover in Reykjavik, Iceland. And you know what? We were gonna like go and explore the city, but before you know it, we landed, and it was like the previous flight was delayed in Hamburg, Germany. It was a whole thing, and then all of a sudden, before you know it, we get there, and there was no shuttle to take us back. And by the time we got back, it would be too late to really do anything. We'd have to kind of turn back around and go straight back to the airport. So what did we do? We ate about 15 of those New Zealand hot dogs, and we not New Zealand, Iceland hot dogs, and we finished about, I'd say 36 beers inside of this beautiful Reykjavik airport, and it ended up being a pretty damn memorable layover. A long one, but a very, very fun one. And that's going to be one of my memorable ones, and we'll leave it at that.
Epic.
Unbelievable. So yeah, that's Ripping with Royer. I love it. Let's go ahead and timestamp.
This timestamp brought to you by Quick Paper Supply. Nick, I'm gonna go ahead and do the regular one here because we did the other one first. But if your kid's looking for a 10U baseball team coming up, call Nick. But also Quick Paper Supply, your local and family-owned restaurant supply company for all your non-food products. They service over 150 restaurants with weekly low minimum next day deliveries, providing a wide range of food service products from to-go containers, cups, custom printed products. They're eco-friendly and much more. They also have cleaning and restroom supplies for all your janitorial needs. To do business with Quick Paper Supply, or to have your 10-year-old try out for the 10 and under baseball team, call Nick 513-470-2029 and reference Bearcats for 20% off your first month of purchases. I don't think that gets you 20% off the fees for the travel team, because being the parent of a young athlete on a travel team, those are expensive.
Yes.
I don't think you're going to get 20% off of that.
No. Before we hop in the mailbag real quick, we did get a couple of commits off this past visit weekend to the football team. Brody Jones, safety, committed out of Arkansas, Fayetteville. And then, of course, Ohio native out of Avon High School. Pretty cool commitment picture as Lance Dawson held up a shirt that said Jeremiah Strong for Jeremiah Kelly, his Avon High School teammate. Just a cool touch on his commitment to the Bearcats. Anything on those two, Chad? It seems as if the successful visit weekends are parlaying themselves against each other.
Yeah, I don't think that's the last one we'll get from that OV weekend, but this stuff is still
Yeah.
wild.
It
See if it's still visits being taken and who shows up where next weekend and how that impacts things. But I think good so far. I think they've had the maybe not batting 1,000 per se, but they're 2 weekends in. They've got a handful of commits on kids that they really like and wanted to add to the roster. So so far so good. And I think for the one today, Dawson, he's already 6'4", 250, which is about the size of a college defensive end. It's in that same mold of like Tim Griffin, guys that meet the physical traits. We've talked to Zach Grant about this a million times. They're looking for guys that look a certain way. Tim Griffin looks a certain way. Yeah. He looks like what they are looking for on the defensive line at this point. So I think it's a good get. And the way this defense is, never can have too many safeties.
Amen.
When you go back to, what was that, Sunday that Brody Jones committed, or Saturday, whenever it was. I don't know.
Days start to run together. These.
No, what day is it?
It's Monday. It's BBP Monday. He committed on Sunday afternoon.
Sunday afternoon. Yesterday I was busy cooking all day. That's how I spent my Father's Day. Cooking.
You were chefing it up. Call him Curry because he was in the kitchen cooking. Let's go. All right, Aaron. Let's mailbag it up, bro.
All right. Starting off in the football portion of the mailbag, like we always do. What naming right in the IPF would have been the best bang for your buck?
So I assume he's talking about if we've made a lot of jokes about BCJ naming the
janitor's closet,
whatever the term that they're using, supply closet or whatever. I think the best, after kind of hearing how things are going to play out going forward, the best bang for the buck would probably have been the defensive team meeting room, because I think that is where we're going to be doing the press conferences during the week, the weekly luncheon, whatever. And I don't think any of those other rooms are going to get talked about a whole lot publicly. But if you were in the Bearcat Journal team defensive meeting room, I think we'd get a lot of run out of that one. So that one would have at least some bang for your buck opportunity, because press conferences would be coming from the Bearcat Journal team defensive meeting room. So just with my, with the collective insider knowledge, I think that would be the best bang for the buck for the indoor practice facility.
All right.
Ryan's going to be there Wednesday. He had his weeks wrong.
He did. That was a funny exchange we had.
I was like, Ryan, you can't go. He's like, I'm going anyway. And I was like, okay. And then he was like, wait, I'm not going until next week. Okay.
Hey.
All right. And the last question in the football portion, does Cincy Light money still go to Cincy Reigns, or will they be shifting the money to the Athlete Impact Fund?
My understanding is that is a question without an answer. When I asked, I was told that is a really good question, and I don't have an answer yet. So I think it's a possibility, but it's not a certainty. So if I ever get news, given my relationship with both parties, I will pass that along. But for now, it sounds like things are still going to Reigns, but it is possible that money gets shifted internally at some point.
All right, TBD. But while we're talking about Cincy Light, make sure you go and grab yourself a 6-pack of the new Cincy Light Lime that you can get at Kroger or wherever it is that you get your Cincy Light. Should be there. Not out here, unfortunately. Not yet.
Not yet, but it will be. It'll get out there. Hopefully,
Checked yesterday.
hopefully by some point so that you can enjoy it during the summer.
Well, that is the idea, yes. Moving on to the basketball portion of the mailbag. With oh man.
Uh-oh.
There we go. With continuation coming to college basketball, which former Bearcats player other than Jaron Cumberland would have benefited the most?
Sean Kilpatrick.
Yeah, SK had a good little. Troy was pretty solid with continuation as well.
Yeah.
But I'd say, yeah. I mean, obviously, you're going to go with your scorers, SK and Jaron.
Logan would have been good at it.
Good, yeah.
Nick Van Exel would have feasted in college if they allowed him continuation.
Yeah, for sure.
But SK was, I mean, he was a master at drawing contact anyway. If you allowed him to draw contact and then make his move and get the and one, he might have scored 2,500 points here.
Maybe Lance.
Yeah.
Kind of that pro ball approach, obviously. One-on-one.
All right. I think I just got an apology for this one. But generic high school recruiting question, Chad, is this the most talented couple of classes the city has seen in a long time? For 2026, you've got Taylor Kinney, a 5-star from Newport, and OTE offered. Anthony Thompson, a 5-star from Lebanon, Western Reserve Academy. For 27, you've got Lincoln Crosby, a 5-star from Lakota West and OTE. Joshua Tyson from Lakota West, who was offered. Bryce Curry from Lakota West, who was offered. Isaiah Mack Russell from Winton Woods, who was offered. Sean Foster from Lima Senior, maybe offered. Griffin Starks from Newport, offered. In 2028, Cam Mercer from Winton Woods and Huntington Prep.
Yeah. I mean, it's stacked right now. I mean, we went through, like, it felt like a decade drought where you'd get maybe one high major guy a year, and even that was kind of a fringe guy. We have not had a great run for a little while in Greater Cincinnati in terms of high major basketball talent. And this is, I mean, you're talking, what I'm saying is there would be like one low-level 4-star, maybe 2 low-level 4-stars in the entire region. Now you're talking 5-stars and guys in contention for top 10 in the class. I know I still don't think Taylor Kinney ends up here, but and as somebody said, they thought he was the best point guard at Top 100 camp. One of the reports I saw from Top 100 camp over the weekend. So, yeah, now, unfortunately, none of these guys are really, there's a couple, but very few are playing in Cincinnati anymore. OTE, Huntington Prep, you know, they're all off doing the prep school thing. But in terms of guys that have direct ties to the city and grew up here, it is stacked for a couple of years with guys with connections to the city.
All right. Take a complete wild-ass guess at the combined minutes of Tillery, Abayev, and McKinley in Big 12 play. Over under 28. And P.S. 28 minutes constitutes almost 25% of the available minutes at the 1, 3, and 4.
Good question. I mean, a lot of this would have to do with if at that point Abayev has carved out a sizable role in the rotation. I mean, if he's getting like 21 minutes, 22 minutes, then you only need 6 minutes out of the other 2.
Which would be one quick rotation a half from each.
Right. So I'd say over, a hopeful over.
It's also barring any significant injury.
Well, yeah, that's what we don't know is if, somebody gets dinged up and misses time,
that means one of the, these three guys, they're going to see their role increase.
Yeah.
Slide up.
So I'll go under, but I think it's going to be close. I think it'll be somewhere in that 25 to 30 minute range for the three of them combined. I'll go under, but not by much. I think they'll be right in that vicinity.
I'll say over only because I think that Brent's hopeful is going to actually merge with somebody being dinged up. You're going to have, I would imagine, some type of injury where one of those guys is going to get minutes that were maybe a little unexpected. Obviously not what I'm hoping for, but all right. And the last question in the basketball portion of the mailbag. Where do you see Kriisa fitting into the mix? Is he viewed as a Hickman replacement, or could he take over at the 1 and move Jizzle or Day off the ball some? I think the offense could improve with his quick processing and passing ability.
We talked about that quite a bit at the beginning of the show. I think at least right now, it's looking like more of a combo role. We'll maybe play a little bit of 1, but we'll probably be used a little bit more off the ball to keep the offense flowing. And he's a really good shooter, high assist guy. I thought initially when he was added, he made a lot of sense at the 1, but the more I look at it, I mean, I'm thinking there might be a little bit of time for him at both, but I'm wondering, we're once again in a situation where there's not a ton of 2s on this team. So maybe Kriisa fits a little bit more seamlessly in that role where he's not being asked, because he has had some turnover problems. He can be a little bit of inefficient as a point guard. Maybe you get that in check a little bit with him playing off the ball some.
I hope he's not the Hickman replacement as far as you want him to stay healthier than he has the last couple of seasons. Kriisa struggled with injuries.
Well, just last year. He was healthy
year,
the other 2 years.
I thought he was injured at West Virginia as well.
He missed some time because of he played in like a summer league that he wasn't supposed to play in or some shit.
Okay.
But he didn't miss time because of injury at West Virginia. He missed what, Brent? The first 8-9 games, something like that.
I was going to say,
And
it was a decent amount of time.
It wasn't injury related.
Okay.
Right.
It's not going good for you, Brent.
What's that? Well, you know what? We're a second half team anyways. Let's hope.
Did we lose that? Okay.
All right. It's pretty clear based upon the number and type of strong prospects being reeled in by the baseball team that NIL is involved. These new Bearcats definitely had choices. Take a guess at the range for the NIL offers for the transfer portal and the new recruits. Does $75K to $200K sound realistic?
I have no guess because I don't think it's a good thing to guess on these type of things if you don't have a basis of knowledge on where it's at, because I think it can end up being detrimental if you're off one way or the other. And some of it could also be Killer V that they're getting a nice chunk from rev share. And that's not saying a lot, but a little bit of money unless you're in the SEC, a little bit of money in baseball goes a long way. So it doesn't necessarily have to be NIL dollars. It could be rev share dollars that they had earmarked for the baseball program as a reward for Bishel doing well. So I don't want to get into, at least from me specifically, making a guess there, because I don't know what it helps if I'm wrong, and I don't know I don't know a ballpark on where that might be.
And you know what probably helps a lot in baseball recruiting is success. And I imagine going to the NCAA tournament, it kind of makes the possibility of going to Cincinnati even juicier, with or without money.
I think there was a late one added to basketball, Aaron.
And go back and look it up.
Just read it. You don't have to put it in.
It's thoughts on Memphis and the Pac-12 / Big East potentially happening in a few years.
I saw a little bit on this. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. They would send everything to the Pac-12 but basketball, and basketball would go to the Big East. I mean, I guess is this Memphis kind of trying to double dip? Is that what I mean? Essentially, that's what they'd be doing, trying to get the football money from the Pac-12, the basketball money from the Big East to put them in a better position competitively. I mean, if you're the Pac-12, why would you do that? That's what I don't understand. Why would you let them take basketball to the Big East and become a part of your conference, but not in one of the two major sports? I guess Memphis may want to do it. I don't know why the Pac-12 would do it, I guess, is where I'm at.
Especially considering Memphis is more juicy on the basketball side of things.
Yeah.
Which was, I don't know. Just let me know when it's all over.
And they're talking like this week is supposed to be a lot of, or the next couple of weeks, supposed to be a lot of realignment.
And wasn't it like UNLV to the Big 12 or something?
I saw something. What? UNLV turned down the Pac-12 because they're waiting for a Big 12 invite?
Yeah.
Huh?
Hey, I'll take trips to Vegas. Hey.
Would Tulane be in a similar situation as Memphis with their football and basketball breaking up conferences? Because Tulane's mentioned as being a package with Memphis, correct?
I mean, I think they're trying to do anything possible. I mean, the interesting thing is, so the Pac-12 needs one more to get to 8, which would make them a group of 6 conference. But then they would still want to add to that, I guess. Texas State is rumored to be the team that's going to the Pac-12 to make them 8. I don't know. Are things that bad in the American?
We'd have an insider.
That bad?
We'd have an insider if Keegan had just gone to the Pac-12 party while he was in Vegas instead of going to GTL.
I told him they're going to welcome anybody they can. Just be like, I'm in the media. I work for 24/7 Sports.
Yes.
You could have got into that Pac-12 party, and he could have got lots of information.
No.
Drop the ball. All right. So ends the basketball portion of the mailbag. Getting back to the banks. We do have 2 questions in the banks tonight, and then we'll get out of here. If you could control the cosmic forces of the galaxy, which would you choose? We already know Ryan's answer here because he hates the Bengals. But number 1, extend Ellie De La Cruz out 5 years and witness 3 World Series championships over the next 8 years. Number 2, extend Joe Burrow and witness 3 Super Bowl victories for the Bengals over the next 8 years. Or number 3, don't extend Ellie or Joe, watch them both leave as free agents, but you get 1 Super Bowl and 1 World Series victory over the next 5 years.
Ellie, extend.
Gosh, he's unreal. Ellie is phenomenal.
So is Joe Burrow.
I know, but still, the recent last week of Ellie has been. He's on my fantasy team as well, so that's just an additional thing. I know you don't care about it, but boy, it's been great to see.
And just on age alone, it would probably be Ellie. In terms of like being smart, if you extend him out 8 more years, Ellie would be what, 32 roughly? If you extend Burrow out 8 more years, Joe's already what, 28?
Joe Burrow is 28. Turns 29 in December 10th.
You're gonna like Burrow out to 36, 37.
Ellie's 23, turns 24
Yeah.
on January 11th.
So you'd extend Ellie out to 32. Joe would be out to 36, 37 years old. I'd go Ellie. Plus, I like the Reds more than the Bengals.
This is an easy question for me. I really, really like Ellie De La Cruz, but I hate the Castellinis enough to not want them to have any success, and I want them to sell the team and get the hell out of here.
I hate the Browns and Blackburns and don't want them to have any success and want them
Fair
to sell
enough.
the team and get the hell out of here.
Fair enough. But I think Joe Burrow winning 3 Super Bowls would go down as far more iconic than even Ellie winning the World Series. It'd be more relevant. People care about the NFL more so than they do baseball. So that's where I would be. I'd take the 3 Super Bowls. Plus, that means that's 3 Super Bowls that Patrick Mahomes did not win. So
Yeah, good point. Good point.
that's where I'm at. What is a bigger accomplishment? Royer to be on time for the podcast, or Aaron uploading the correct mailbag post on the board before noon, or Brent not missing a football game due to a fall wedding? It's a great question, and the reason we all hate you, Mark. I'm just kidding.
When's the last time Royer was on time?
Kinda today.
Last week.
Yeah, he was on time for Nico.
Yeah, he was. He knew Nico was coming.
Just made it.
Well, that
It was like
that was 2 weeks ago with Nico.
Okay, yeah.
Last week was Justin, and then Justin went big time and was on the Ryan Russillo podcast right after us. Does that mean we're big time?
Corey Evans was
Yeah.
on with us, and then the next
Then
day
went
was on with Ryan Russillo.
Wait a minute. What's up, Ryan?
Russillo
You
is-
listening?
He's stealing our
We're
booking.
still. I think Russillo listens to the BBP. I think that we're onto something here. We are onto something.
Huh.
Well, and the BCJ pod because Corey was on the BCJ pod.
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
all over
he's a big BCJ network guy.
it. It sounds like it.
Maybe next time I'll have George Bogle on.
Okay, I like this. I think Royer being late for the pod is a bit, right, Ryan? It's become like a bit at this point. I think
It has.
pretty sure. Yeah. And then Aaron gets the mailbag right most of the time.
Yeah, it's not before noon most of the time though. Today was early. You were early today.
Oh, he was
Look,
sunshine and rainbows early.
I do make efforts to try and post it before I get out of bed so that I am like not dealing with breakfast with the girls and all of that. And if it doesn't happen, that's when I'm like getting rushed out of bed because I got to go take care of kids. Then it's getting kicked down the can's getting kicked down the road, so to speak.
Yeah. As for me, I've got some bad news about this year, but we'll talk about that at a later time. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So hey, thanks, Merc.
Get out.
That's the mailbag. Get us out of here, Brent.
Well, guys, it was a great BBP. Fantastic Monday as always. Ryan Rift and Aaron and Chatty. So
Tweet.
you know what? We've got a second half of glorious comebacks that needs to take place. Let's hope we see some miraculous thunder stomping. As
There will be a show of some sort next week. Just not sure exactly what.
TBD. Stay tuned.
Aaron and I will not be here. I might pop in.
Yeah, we'll let you know. But shouts to Cincy Light. They're always in the studio. Shouts to Danco Transmission and Auto Care. They're the best. Shouts to Quick Paper Supply. Shouts to Aaron Smith for his birthday and Ryan Rohr's dad for his birthday and all the dads out there for Father's Day. But for my guys, for the crew, for the squad, for Aaron Smith, for Chad Brendel, for Ryan Royer, I am Brent Young. Yet again, another fantastic BBP presented by BearcatJournal.com.
See ya!